on a cold February evening in 2001. A chilling sequence of events would lead to one of South Carolina's most shocking murders. The story of Marion Bowman, a man now on death row, is one of violence, betrayal, and irreversible tragedy. On January 31, 2025, 44-year-old Marion Bowman is scheduled to die in South Carolina's death chamber. His execution will mark the state's third since resuming capital punishment in September 2024. After a 13-year hiatus due to legal and logistical issues surrounding execution methods. Convicted of the brutal 2001 murder of 21-year-old Candy Martin, Bowman has spent over 2 decades on death row, consistently maintaining his innocence. The events of February 16, 2001, are harrowing and deeply tragic. Bowman, along with his cousin James Taiwan Gadsden and 21-year-old Candy Martin, drove to a desolate wooded area in Dorchester County late at night. Earlier in the day, Bowman had confronted Martin, accusing her of owing him money and, allegedly, of being an informant wearing a wire. Tensions escalated, and as Martin attempted to get back into the car after briefly stepping out, Bowman, according to Gadsden's testimony, opened fire. Martin pleaded desperately for her life, crying, "Don't shoot me no more, I have a child to take care of." Undeterred, Bowman fired additional shots, ending her life. The senselessness of Martin's murder was compounded by Bowman's callous actions afterward. He and Gadsden left Martin's lifeless body in the woods and drove away in her car. Hours later, Bowman returned with a friend, Travis Felder. Together, they retrieved Martin's body, stuffed it into the trunk, and drove to a secluded location where Bowman set the car ablaze in an attempt to destroy evidence. Investigators would later determine Martin's cause of death was multiple gunshot wounds. DNA evidence collected from Martin's body and witness testimony would form the backbone of the case against Bowman. This brutal and calculated act shocked the local community, leaving friends and family of Candy Martin devastated. She was a young mother with her whole life ahead of her, and Bowman's actions extinguished her future in a horrific act of violence. The investigation into Candy Martin's murder moved swiftly. Authorities arrested Bowman shortly after the discovery of Martin's burned car and remains. Witnesses, including Gadsden and others who had been with Bowman on the night of the murder, came forward with damning accounts of his actions. Gadsden claimed Bowman had confessed to the killing, while another witness testified Bowman had tried unsuccessfully to sell Martin's car before disposing of her body. Physical evidence further implicated Bowman. A wristwatch belonging to Martin was found in Bowman's possession, and forensic tests revealed his DNA on a vaginal swab taken from the victim. Prosecutors argued that Bowman's actions were not only premeditated but also calculated, citing his attempts to dispose of the body in the car as proof. The overwhelming evidence painted a chilling picture of a man who showed no remorse for taking an innocent life. Despite the evidence presented at trial, Bowman has always maintained his innocence. In a statement released in December 2024, Bowman pointed the finger at Gadsden, claiming his cousin was the true murderer. According to Bowman, Gadsden had privately confessed to killing Martin, but by that time, Bowman was already under arrest and charged with the crime. Bowman admitted to selling substances to Martin earlier that day, a fact that prosecutors used to establish a connection between the two. He expressed regret for contributing to Martin's struggles with addiction but denied any involvement in her death. Bowman's attorneys have repeatedly argued that critical evidence, such as Gadsden's alleged prison confession, was withheld during the trial. They also questioned Gadsden's mental stability, which could have undermined his credibility as a witness. On December 27, 2024, the South Carolina Supreme Court issued Bowman's death warrant, scheduling his execution for January 31, 2025. Bowman was given until January 17 to choose between lethal injection, electrocution, or firing squad as his method of execution. If no choice is made, the electric chair will be used by default. This execution follows South Carolina's controversial resumption of capital punishment in 2024. After years of delays due to an inability to procure lethal injection substances, the state secured a supply of pentobarbital under a new law that shrouds substance acquisition in secrecy. Bowman will be the third inmate executed in the state since September 2024, following Freddie Owens and Richard Moore, both of whom chose lethal injection. For more than 22 years, Bowman has lived in the shadow of death. Described by fellow inmates as a gentle giant, he has earned a reputation for good behavior and was entrusted with a job sweeping floors and collecting meal trays, tasks that provide brief reprieves from the confines of his cell. Bowman has also sought solace in religion, reading the Bible daily and writing poetry to express his thoughts and emotions. Bowman remains deeply connected to his family, frequently speaking with his wife, his daughter, who was born 6 months after his arrest, and his young granddaughter. In one of his reflective poems, Bowman wrote, "While I breathe, I hope," a poignant nod to South Carolina's state motto. As the execution date approaches, Bowman's legal team continues to fight for a reprieve. They argue that his conviction was marred by prosecutorial misconduct in the withholding of critical evidence. However, state attorneys insist that Bowman received a fair trial and that the evidence against him is conclusive. Multiple appeals over the years have been denied, leaving little room for further legal recourse. The state's determination to proceed with the execution underscores the finality of Bowman's fate. His actions, which ended the life of an innocent young mother, leave little doubt about the gravity of his crime. Regardless of his claims of innocence, Bowman's choices on that fateful night forever altered countless lives. Marion Bowman's story is a stark reminder of the devastating consequences of violent crime. For Candy Martin's family and loved ones, his execution represents justice served for the heinous acts he committed. Bowman's case underscores the irreversible nature of capital punishment and the profound impact of one man's actions on a community left grappling with loss and grief. Thank you for watching. If you found this story compelling, please consider liking, sharing and subscribing. Your support means a great deal.